everybody, it's Kara, and it is time for volume 2 of Principal's Office Hour. For those of you that may not have seen my first volume, this is, I wanted to start doing some whip-in chats on my channel, but I wanted to do something a little bit different. And so what I decided to do was to make these whip-in chats hopefully really meaningful and to deliver a message for everyone to take away, think about. And that's my main objective. If you listen to this and, you're working on something with me and just listening, I hope you take something away from it. So today's topic that I have come up with is leaving a legacy. And how do we leave a legacy in our lives? What does that look like? How can we leave a legacy when we might not think we're doing anything meaningful? But you are, trust me, you are. So these Principal's Office Hours are like the title says, it's going to be about 45 minutes to an hour. And you're just going to think about if you were one of my staff members, my parents, or somebody from the community just needing to come in and talk with me. And we got on a topic. I'd talk to you about it and hopefully give you something to think about when you left my office. And I want it to be a meaningful and impactful time. So I work hard on these, and everyone really seemed to like the first one. So let's get into leaving a legacy. Before I do that, again, gather a project that you are working on. If you are outside taking a walk, at the gym, in your car, use this as a podcast, whatever you're doing, great. If you're working on a project, grab your favorite drink, maybe a little snack, because we'll be here for about 45 minutes to an hour. Before I start, I am working on Trimming the Tree by Randall Spangler. This is for my bestie Brandy's and my event, Season of Spangler. Don't ask me where my tweezers are from. Well, I'm sorry, you can't ask me. They're from Sparkle Queen. I have had them for forever. So those are my tweezers. My pen. I love these pens. This is a Swampwood pen. He is on Instagram. It is hard to get these, and I got this one from Alyssa at the last retreat. She was doing a little bit of a de-stash, and I thought, oh, it's a Christmas pen, so I grabbed that one. My tray is from Firefly Trays. This is from Jingle Drills last year. I just loved this wreath, so that's the tray I'm working with. This is a Christmassy, trimming the tree is Christmassy, so that's that. And the wax I'm using in my pen is Patty Wax. The tips on this pen are from Diamond Art Club. I swear by these, use them all the time. I have an 8-placer and a single placer, and these are the tips that you can get off of Diamond Art Club. I just love them. And I am using a Diamond Art Club smaller tray as well for my enhancement drills. Don't know that I'll be doing any enhancement during this whip and chat, but I have a little extra tray in case I want to enhance. I just pour them in a separate tray. So that is that. So let's get into this whip and chat. I am, my first Principal's Office Hour, I was really nervous, and it was hard for me to lay down drills and talk at the same time. So hopefully with some practice, I'll get a little bit better each time, right? So wanted to start off, the last Principal's Office Hour, I started off with Man in the Arena, and that's a pretty powerful speech. But it was funny, the other day I heard a song that I had not heard in years. It is by Randy Travis. For those of you that are country western people, Randy Travis is an amazing country western artist, and he has a song called 3 Wooden Crosses. And I always say, I'm not going to get into RPMs, religion, politics, or money. And this song does have a little bit of a religious tone to it, but I think any belief system would absolutely love this song. But the chorus, and this is part of YouTube copyright. I wish I could have had that song playing when this principal's office hour started, because it's such a powerful song. And when I heard it again after years of not hearing it, it will put goosebumps on the backs of your arms and make you tear up just a little bit. But anyway, Three Wooden Crosses by Randy Travis. Look it up and play it. It's a very meaningful song. But the chorus hits you. And what he says in the chorus is, it's not what you take when you leave this world behind you. It's what you leave behind you when you go. And I thought that was a perfect lead-in to this discussion on leaving a legacy. What are you going to leave behind? Either when you leave, because normally when we talk about leaving a legacy, people automatically think it's when you die. Well, you can leave a legacy at any time. The jobs you've had, the people you've impacted. There are people in your life that you may not be talking with or close to right now due to, you've moved, changed locations, changing jobs, that kind of thing. But it's what we leave behind us when we go that matters, right? The dash on your tombstone, there's going to be your birth date and then your death date, and there's a dash in between those two dates. And there's a great poem called How You Lived Your Dash. Well, that's part of leaving your legacy. So Mark Twain also, Tom Sawyer, Huckleberry Finn, Mark Twain once said, and this is probably one of the most powerful quotes I've ever heard in my life, and I remember this every single day. The two greatest days in your life are the day you're born and the day you find out why. And I believe anyhow, part of leaving a legacy is finding out, why are you here? Why are you doing what you're doing? And I will talk a lot about finding your why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Okay. I'm still on the journey of figuring out my why. I've lived 56 years on this planet, and I'm still trying to figure out my why. And different phases of your life, you'll have a different why, and that's okay. But part of the fun part about life is figuring out why you're here. Okay. But part of figuring out my why and part of figuring out my legacy is coming across people that absolutely impacted my life, and also the choices that I've made. Some I'm really proud of, and some I'm not proud of at all. But everything that you do while you are alive makes an impact. The decisions that you make, both good and bad, that's part of your legacy, fortunately and unfortunately. But I think about my YouTube journey. I will tell you right now, had I not gotten a divorce, had I not made that decision, as tough as it was, and moved out, got my own little apartment, I wouldn't be here. You would not have any clue who I was. I would absolutely not be a part of your life. You would not be watching this video. I wouldn't have a channel. The Principal Painter wouldn't exist. And that's really sad to me, because through this journey, I have met so many impactful people. Had I not gone to my first retreat, had I not met Ashley, Crafts with Crashly, and she hadn't said, Kara, you really need to start a channel. You're funny. I like you. And I think other people will like you too. You think about that. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't think I can do that. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have met you all. I wouldn't have met my best friend in the whole wide world, which is really, sad to think about. So as you are going through life and figuring out how to leave a legacy, and what you want people to remember about you, you know, you discover along the way, you know, that you meet people that help you along that journey, and they help your path. I mean, you know, if I hadn't married Marlon, these videos would cease to exist, or wouldn't have existed in the first place, because he believed in me and said, all right, I'll do these videos. And it's a lot of work for him. He's behind the scenes, but it's a lot of work and a lot of support that he gives me. So, you know, when I think about that, that's really impactful to me as well. You know, I had a lot of insecurities about doing this principal's office hour, but based on comments that I got and, you know, the impact that it made on people, I just decided I was going to do it again, you know, and we'll see where this road takes. But I feel like part of this is a legacy that I'm leaving, you know, and when you're doing something and you're asking yourself why you're doing it, why am I doing this? I'm doing this to impact people. I'm doing this to talk to people and really, again, make them think about things, maybe think about things differently in their life. Think about things in a unique way that they might not have thought about before. And that's a pretty powerful why. You know, when you're positively impacting people and positively leaving a message with people, that's a pretty powerful why. But finding out what our why is, you know, anytime you're discouraged with what you're doing, you should ask yourself why. I remember being in a lot of staff meetings with my staff, and I would always tell them, remember your why. Why are you here? Why are you working with children? Do you even like children? If not, you might want to free up your future, you know. But remembering your why is one of the most powerful things that you can do in order to leave, you know, an impactful legacy. And that question, why am I doing what I'm doing? That's not just for people that have a specific career or in a specific financial echelon or what have you. That is for everybody. Because no matter what you're doing in your life, you may be sitting there going, Kara, this may not be the video for me. I'm a housewife. And I love it when people say, I don't work, I stay home. Yeah, you do. You work when you stay home, and you're leaving a legacy when you stay home. And you're leaving a legacy with the most important people on the planet, and that's your kids, your husband, your family. And whether you have kids or don't have kids, whether you live alone or don't, how you interact with people, the things you say to people make a difference. I have had subscribers that just this past week have made an impact on me, and I won't forget what they said because they took the time to comment on a video. They may live alone, they may not have a family, but they took an opportunity to tell me something that meant something to me. So if you don't think you're leaving a legacy because you don't have a job or you live at home or, you know, you're alone, you don't have anybody at home. I don't have kids to leave a legacy with. You know, you are still impacting the world around you by your interactions. You know, I will say this, and she may watch this and she may not, but she has not been a secret. Marsha Hargis, who is one of my subscribers and a sweet, sweet friend of mine, she's a cancer survivor. And she talks to me about what she says to those women when she goes back in for her checkups. Guys, that's leaving a legacy. Those people aren't going to forget what she said, and they're using her as a role model because of her positivity and because of what she says to them as she's walking in and out of those appointments. She may not have thought about it that way, but she's impacting other people around her. It's interesting too, when we think about the impact that we make on others. Kids ask the question why all the time. You can't do that. Why? Well, we're gonna go do this. Why? You may get sick of it, but children are born into this world being inquisitive and asking a lot of questions. And at some point in our life, this world kind of tamps that down and, tramples on our questioning. We don't sometimes feel like we can ask questions. And there are people that ask really good questions and never get scared of it. But most of the time, adults, we lose that sense of wonder. We lose that questioning ability. And I just wonder when we lose it. But we do. I know that I do sometimes. I was lucky enough that my entire career I worked with kids, so maybe I didn't lose it as much as other people. But we somehow lose that. Maybe these kids are on to something, but somewhere along the line, life takes that questioning part of ourselves away. We always need to stay inquisitive and not accept things as they are. Some of the greatest innovations of our time came from people who said why or why not. I mean, seriously. When teachers would come to me with ideas that they had, I would at least say, you know what? I don't know if that's going to work or not, because some of them came to me with pretty outlandish ideas. But that was okay. It's like, you know what? Why not? Why not? Let's try it. And if it falls flat on its face, we'll adjust and we'll go back and we'll figure it out. So we tried. And sometimes really good stuff came out of teachers being brave and inspired enough to try something that the rest of us were going, I don't know. But you know what? Because I was open-minded enough to say, you know what, let's try it. Why not? So sometimes we are on autopilot when kids come to us or family members or friends and say, hey, I'm thinking about trying this. We automatically go, well, I don't know, why not? If it's not going to hurt themselves or somebody else, why don't we let them try? Just let them try. Again, some of the greatest innovations have come from people going, well, why not? I don't see why we can't try it. It may or may not work, but let's try it. So in that vein, we can leave a legacy by encouraging somebody or helping somebody to try something that we may think, oh, Lord, this is going to fall flat on its face, but this person really believes in it. So let's try. Sometimes that's possible and sometimes that's not. But somewhere along the line, adulthood really tamps down our inquisitiveness. I've thought about that. Sometimes when we get into situations where we're discouraged at work or, not satisfied with our job or whatever, or other things, we don't ask the question why because we're scared. It's a scary question, right? Why am I married to my partner? Why is my relationship with this person? Why am I in this relationship with this person? Whether it's a romantic relationship, a friendship, whatever. Why am I in this relationship? Those are scary questions. Why am I in this job? Sometimes we're afraid to ask ourselves those tough why questions. Sometimes we don't want to know the answer because it's not going to be a very good one, and that's scary. But in order to grow and in order to get to the next place where we want to be in our lives, we have to ask that question. Another thing that scares us, guys, is sometimes by asking the question why, we ourselves have to look in the mirror. Why is my relationship so bad? It's not about just looking at the other person. It involves looking at ourselves, and sometimes we don't want those answers. That's scary. It's a scary thing. So sometimes asking the question why is frightening, right? We can ask others for guidance in this, but this is mainly on us because We can get told by a million people, and I'm very careful to tell people this. This is my opinion. This may not be what's right for you or good for you, but this is my opinion. This is my thoughts. Take it, leave it, lump it, whatever. But this is my opinion. Doesn't mean you have to do it. I'm just sharing my 2 cents. And I normally, yes, I don't give that advice unless I'm asked. Because if you're talking about somebody's relationship, somebody's job, you're not in that. You're not living that. You have absolutely no idea what it's like to be that person. We may think we do. We may have had situations that are similar, but that situation isn't our situation. We don't have the whole of the situation unless we have directly been in it or been at the same job, or, hopefully you haven't been with the same husband as your friend. But, all we can do is offer up advice, but we need people in our life that we can use as resources. And I talked about this in the last one. I had lunch today with one of my very best friends. I have known her for 30 years. I met her when she was my principal, when I was a teacher. She's opened 4 schools. She's been superintendent of schools. She's a mentor of mine. She is an amazing person. And because she is also a friend, I have seen her at the highest highs and the lowest lows in her life. I told her about the channel, so I'm wondering if she's going to watch this. But she's one of those people that you talk about leaving a legacy. At her retirement reception, she had students, parents, teachers. I spoke because of the impact that this woman has made. But she's made the biggest impact on me by her friendship and watching her go through situations. And I'm not going to get into it, but I've watched her go through situations that I don't know that I could have come out of it the way that she did. And she has just been a leader by example time and time again. And it wasn't just what she said or what she did in schools. It was what she did in her life that was absolutely unbelievable. She is one of the smartest, most amazing women I've ever met. And I'm very proud to call her a friend. And we had lunch today. She's also one of those people that she may not always tell you what you like. You need people I cannot tell you how badly you need people like this in your life. And don't mistake it. Do not twist this. I don't mean a negative person in your life, because she's not negative. She's one of the most positive people I know. But she will always tell me what I need to hear in order to get better. I may not always like it, but when I think about it, it's the best advice I've ever gotten from somebody. And she is brave enough, as one of my dearest friends, to share with me sometimes things that she knows I'm not going to want to hear, but it's going to push me to make me better. You need people like that in your life. And like I said, that is not negativity. It is not. It is absolutely inspiring to have someone like that in your life. You don't need a bunch of yes people around you all the time if you're going to stretch yourself and get better. You need people that will impact you in your life, and not necessarily be your yes people all the time, but they will be a good enough friend to tell you, I believe in you. If you want to get better though, you're going to have to get up off your butt, and you're going to have to, do X, Y, Z or what have you. And again, you can take that advice or lump it, but if you have a person like that in your life, hold on to that person like they're gold. Once again, I'm going to say this again. It is not a negative person. They're not going to wallow with you in negativity when you're upset and, oh my God, yes, that's terrible. They're not going to belittle you or insult you, but the things that they're going to tell you are going to make you better. Instead of doing what you're doing, why don't you think about doing X, Y, Z? And it impacts you positively. It's almost, it's funny, it's almost an intangible. They're the person in your life, and I know you know people like this. They have a firm hand on the wheel. And I said this at her retirement reception. She always had a firm hand on the wheel. When crap hit the fan, I always knew our schools were going to be okay. Our districts were going to be okay because she was at the helm. She was leading the way. Those are treasured people in your life. When stuff in my life was hitting the fan, I always would go to her because I always knew that through her, I would gain the strength to keep going and keep fighting and keep pushing to be better. Those types of people are rare, and you need to keep them in your life. Keep those people close, because they are few and far between. And if you're lucky enough to have somebody like that, keep them. And if you don't, go find them. On the flip side, remembering our why, or finding friends like I just described to help us remember our why, can be extremely rewarding. It can be scary. Yes, we have to look in the mirror and know we might not always like what, gets told to us or we figure out. But remembering our why can be extremely rewarding. If you are an educator, and even if you're not an educator, if you have access to kids, your own kids, classrooms, wherever, or you can even do this with adults. I did an activity with my kids, I don't know, probably when I first got to my junior high. And I was coming out of elementary school when I got to that junior high, and I thought I got junior high kids, but I really didn't get them. They weren't as demonstrative in telling you how wonderful you were and how much they loved you. They just weren't. Extremely insecure. And I just couldn't figure them out. And I came up with an activity that I thought, okay, I've got to get in their heads a little bit and figure this out. And so I met with 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade, and talked to them a little bit. And I did regular meetings with my kids just so I had some FaceTime with them. I could answer questions. We'd have grade level meetings, what have you. But I did an activity with them at the beginning of one school year, and I gave them each a note card, and I told them, this is anonymous. I said, you can sign your name if you want. You don't have to. I said, believe it or not, I am not a genius, and I have not analyzed all of your handwriting. I don't get writing samples from you all, so if you don't sign your name, believe me, I will not know who you are. They laughed at that. I said, you might think I'm Superwoman. I'm really not. But I said, you got a note card, okay? I said, on the front of this note card, I want you to write down your favorite thing about our school. What's your favorite thing about our school? And then on the flip side, I said, I have a sentence starter for you, and I want you to finish the sentence. And the sentence starter was, I wish you knew. Y'all, you want to find out some stuff about people, do an anonymous activity like that. On the front of the card, have them write down something positive about what they're liking about their situation, but on the back, have them write the words, I wish you knew. I had 1,200 kids at my school, and I read every single note card, and some of them just absolutely brought me to tears. My secretary and I were very close, and we sat and we read them, and they brought us to tears. And I don't think that some of their answers were very different from what we experience as adults on a daily basis. One of the most powerful ones I got, I'll never forget this one. I was like, wow, this kid is going to grow up and be some sort of prolific writer. The kid said, I don't know whether it was male or female, it was anonymous, but they said, I wish you knew. I'm new at this school. And remember, my school was high performing. We were in the top 10 of the state. So lots of smart kids, lots of good grades, all of that. But this person said, I wish you knew. I feel like I'm running a race. And at the start of the race, the gun went off and I had to wait 10 seconds before I started the race. And I'm behind. And I'm running so fast to catch up and I just can't. Oh my God, y'all. Really? Wow. Answers like that. That were just, that's how that kid was feeling. Like the gun went off, they waited 10 seconds before they took off, and they were still just trying to catch up. How many times do we feel like that in our life? You know? Oh my gosh. I literally would get home some nights and Marlon would be like, how was your day? And I'm like I was shot out of a gun. That's how my day was. Just pew, just went, you know, and just couldn't catch up. But that activity was unbelievable. And to get an answer like that, and a lot of the answers involved something that would just break your heart. Now, I had answers that I wish you knew. You know what? I'm doing all right, Miss Daniels. My life's okay. Today it's okay. You know, someone said that today's a good day. It's okay. My life's going all right. You know, but those were very few and far between. We all have insecurities. We all feel a certain way. But yeah, I wish you knew was one of those activities that I thought, and I did it every year after that. Every single year. And I would tell the kids, because, you know, they were there at my school in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. So they did the activity several times. And I told them, I said, you know, you may have something else that you wish I knew right now. So write that down. Okay. That was pretty powerful. And you could probably do that with your own kids. Have them type it out, and you know, if they think you're going to know their handwriting or whatever, you can find ways to make it anonymous. Woo! I'm about ready to finish this last row, and I'm sorry I didn't call your attention to this too. My cover paper is from Crafts with Crashly, who I mentioned earlier. Love her cover paper, Crafts with Crashly. All right, let me look up here. Also, one of the things I'm going to talk to you today, you guys know from my last principal's office hour, I absolutely love author Brene Brown, and I'm going to talk to you about some things from her book, The Gifts of Imperfection. She's written several books, and I read to you from another one of her books last week, but I'm going to read to you from this one in just a minute. But part of finding out your why and how you're leaving a legacy is meaningful work. What work are you involved in? And I don't mean all the time just going to a job every day. I am not going to a job every day, and yet I still strive to find ways to leave a legacy. And you can do that. But before I get into the gifts of imperfection, I wanted to read you something. This is called One of the Most Important Things. And it says, you must do for your being is to be at peace with yourself. In life, you will make mistakes, take the wrong turn, trust the wrong people. Realize that in certain situations, you could have acted or spoken differently, or not have acted or spoken at all. You will have phases that you're not proud of, done things that you wish you hadn't, but what that is what makes you human. The imperfections, the lessons, the realizations, the amendments, these are all a part of being and maturing. You cannot mature in life if you do not make mistakes that you have to admit to yourself were wrong and be willing to learn and change from them. You cannot grow if you are unwilling to outgrow yourself. And that's kind of what I mean by having that friend that pushes you to be better. You want to outgrow yourself. You want to be a better version of yourself, kind of like a hermit crab that outgrows its shell and it changes shells. You got to change shells every once in a while in order to get better and grow, right? That's a hard thing. Most importantly, you can't be at peace with yourself if you're unwilling to forgive yourself for the matters that make you human. You cannot be at peace with yourself if you are unwilling to accept your own apology and give yourself the chance to move forward with your learning. How good are you at accepting other people's apologies? If you're really good at accepting other people's apologies, you should be just as good as accepting your own apology. I am harder on myself, and most of us are, than anybody else. And we have to learn to be a little bit more forgiving with ourselves and accept our own apologies if we want to leave a positive legacy in this world. Okay? Outgrow yourself. Wow, that's powerful. And I've read this several times, and that just hit me. All right, we are now going to talk about The Gifts of Imperfection by Brené Brown. And part of leaving a legacy is what I believe is doing meaningful work. So let's see. I've highlighted some things in the chapter on meaningful work. She says, early in her research, it was clear to her that living a wholehearted life, including engaging what many people she interviewed called meaningful work. Other people spoke of having a calling, and some simply described feeling a tremendous sense of accomplishment and purpose from their work. It all seemed pretty straightforward, except for this pesky list of words that emerged as being important and somehow connected to the quest of meaningful work. Okay, these are pesky words. These are what she calls gremlins, all right? Gifts and talents, spirituality, making a living, commitment, the supposed tos, self-doubt, okay? And these are some things that she learned through this research. Using our gifts and talents to create meaningful work takes a tremendous amount of commitment because in many cases, the meaningful work is not what pays the bills, okay? Some folks have managed to align everything. They use their gifts and talents to do work that feeds their souls and their families. However, most people piece it together. You may be stuck in a job that you have to do in order to put food on your table and keep your lights on, and we get that. But perhaps there's other work, maybe within your job, that you can do that feeds your soul a little bit. And that's what she talks about, piecing it all together. You know, your work may not be totally fulfilling and it may not feel like you're leaving a legacy or, you know, what is my legacy at this job, right? It's what you do within the confines of that job that may leave a legacy through your acts of kindness, your acts of service, that sort of thing. But it has to feed your soul. You know, maybe there are things outside of work that you can do in order to help lead a legacy. No one can define what's meaningful for us. Culture doesn't get to dictate if it's working outside the home, raising children, lawyering, teaching, or painting. Like our gifts and talents, meaning is unique to each one of us. Maybe there is a person that finds meaning in volunteering at a specific organization. That would be absolutely meaningless and maybe even painful to someone else. So no one gets to tell you what is meaningful to you. Don't let anybody tell you what is meaningful to you. That's your own personal choice, okay? Self-doubts and supposed tos. The gauntlet of gremlins can get in the way of cultivating meaningful work. They start by taunting us about our gifts and talents. Maybe everyone has special gifts, except for you. Maybe that's why you haven't found them yet. Yes, you do that well, but that's not really a gift. That's not big enough or important enough to be real talent. Some of this sounding familiar? Self-doubt undermines the process of finding our gifts and sharing them with the world. The gremlins get lots of mileage out of supposed to, the battle cry of fitting in, perfectionism, people-pleasing, and proving ourselves. I am so guilty of all of that, all right? And here are some gremlins. You're supposed to care about making money, not meaning. You're supposed to grow up and be a blank. Everyone's counting on it, right? I have seriously heard from people about myself. You know, it's a good thing you went to a state college because, God, it would have wasted so much money if you had just grown up to be an educator. I've heard that. And I'm like, okay, can I smack you now? Seriously? But I've heard that. When my oldest son decided to be a United States Marine and, God forbid, not go to college right away, I heard from other parents, oh, you must be so sad and disappointed he's not going to college. No, I'm really not. He's defending our country. Hello? Like, why, so these are gremlins in our life. This is what society tells us we're supposed to be doing. You know what? We're not supposed to be conforming to what society thinks we should be doing. How's that? Okay. Sorry, got on my soapbox a little bit there. Here's another gremlin. You're supposed to hate your work. That's the definition of work. I cried at my job. I got upset at my job. I, sometimes felt like I couldn't be a catalyst for change at my job, but I never hated my job. I loved my job. I loved every minute of it. I knew that was exactly what I was supposed to be doing in life. So you're not supposed to hate your job. If you do, then again, I encourage you to find something that fills your soul outside of your job. If you're brave, you're supposed to quit your job and follow your bliss. Don't worry about money. Okay. Again, I am absolutely not, advocating jumping off the deep end and going and living on a private island and making kites for a living. Okay. Then there's another gremlin. You're supposed to choose work you love or work that supports the people you love. You don't have to choose, and if you are in a job that you might not love but supports the people that you love, you need to start talking to the people that you love and finding some things to sustain you maybe outside of your job. That can really, really help. And then I love this quote from Brené Brown. Gremlins are like toddlers. If you ignore them, they get louder. Anyhow, if you've not read Brené Brown's work, I highly, highly encourage it. Okay. So we've talked about meaningful work and the gifts of imperfection. Let go of your self-doubt, and you're supposed to. I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to do this way. Part of what I was always a rule follower, a people pleaser, and it translated to my job. But there were some times when I stood up for what I thought was right for kids. My bosses didn't always particularly like it because it bent a rule or two. But at the same time, if I could look in the mirror and know that I was doing right for kids, that was what mattered to me. And I was never insubordinate or unprofessional. I think I said this in our last chat. But I did fight for what was right for kids. And I would go out on a limb and, fight for what was right. It's your why. It's nobody else's why. So don't let anyone define what's important to you, and let go of self-doubt and supposed to. It's when we define our own why, of why we're here, that we begin to leave our legacy. Okay, why are we parents? Why are we teachers? Why are we bank tellers? Why are we fast food workers? Why are we mothers, fathers, sisters, daughters, that kind of thing? We have to figure out our why. And it's nobody's why but yours. Okay? Then I'm going to ask you a question. I will always have a question for you in these principals office hours. What legacy do you want to leave in the world? What do you want people to say about you when you're gone? Okay? That's a really deep question. And I don't expect for you to be able to answer it right away. I'm still trying to figure that out. What do I want my kids to say about me? What do I want my former coworkers to say about me? I'm sure some of them had some choice things to say about me. No. But in all seriousness, what legacy do you want to leave in the world? When someone gets up to deliver your eulogy at your funeral, that's kind of part of your legacy, right? What they say about you and what gifts and what they remember about you. So, and again, you may not think that you are possibly leaving a legacy, but you are. You absolutely are. If you are listening to this principal's office hour, you are on social media. You have an opportunity through social media, whether you have a job or not, whether you have family members around you or not, you have an opportunity to leave a legacy. Believe me, I read comments, I read what people say, and some of them have absolutely impacted me to the point I've taken screenshots, I've written them down. That's part of leaving a legacy. Every interaction you have in your life makes an impact, whether you believe it or not. So be thinking about that. What kind of a legacy do you want to leave in your life? And I'm going to end this with a prologue to a book by one of who I believe is one of the biggest legacy leavers that we could ever have in our time, and that's Maya Angelou, Dr. Maya Angelou. I read a lot of her work as well. I think she is a phenomenal human being. And when she left this world, she left an incredible legacy. Not just by the huge things that she did to impact others, but by the little things that she did. And I believe that it's the little things that all add up to the big things. She wrote a book called A Letter to My Daughter, and I want to read you the prologue of it because it says a lot. It says, "Dear daughter, this letter has taken an extraordinary time getting itself together. I have known all along that I wanted to tell you directly of some lessons I have learned and under what conditions I've learned them. My life has been long, and believing that life loves the liver of it, I have dared to try many things, sometimes trembling, but daring still. I have only included here events and lessons which I have found useful. I have not told how I have used the solutions, knowing that you are intelligent and creative and resourceful and will use them as you see fit. You will find in this book accounts of growing up, unexpected emergencies, a few poems, some light stories to make you laugh, and some to make you meditate. There have been many people in my life who meant me well, taught me valuable lessons, and others who have meant me ill, and have given me ample notification that my world is not meant to all be peaches and cream. I have made many mistakes and no doubt will make more before I die. When I have seen pain, when I have found that my ineptness has caused displeasure, I have learned to accept my responsibility and forgive myself first, and then to apologize to anyone injured by my misreckoning. Since I cannot unlive history, and repentance is all I can offer God, I have hopes that my sincere apologies were accepted. You may not control all of the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them. Try to be a rainbow in someone's cloud. Do not complain. Make every effort to change the things you do not like. If you cannot make a change, change the way you have been thinking. You might find a new solution. Never whine. Whining lets a brute know that a victim is in the neighborhood. Be certain that you do not die without having done something wonderful for humanity. And guys, that sounds really big, but it doesn't have to be. There are a lot of little acts that can be done that does something wonderful for humanity. She says, I gave birth to one child, a son, but I have thousands of daughters. You are Black and white, Jewish and Muslim, Asian, Spanish-speaking, Native American, and Aleut. You are fat and thin and pretty and plain, gay and straight, educated and unlettered, and I'm speaking to you all. This is my offering to you. Anyway, great lady. Like I said, I'm an extremely voracious reader, so I have absolutely been blessed by these books and by the lessons taught in them. So, I haven't forgotten, Cheryl. What are your takeaways from today's Principal's Office Hour? Here are the things that I feel like, in a nutshell, think about them as we part ways for the day. Identify your why. What's your why? Why are you doing or being what you are doing or being? And be brave in that endeavor. Once you've identified your why and you've answered that question and it's satisfactory to you, be brave in that endeavor. It's not all going to be great, but some of it's going to be really spectacular. In answering that question, also, what is your why? You have to look inward and outward, okay? We can't blame everything and everyone else for why we're dissatisfied and why we're unhappy. We have to look in the mirror, which is difficult. I get it. It's difficult. But I will tell you this, in looking in the mirror, and maybe, as Maya Angelou said, changing the way we think about things, it may give you some solutions that you haven't thought of, okay? What work is meaningful to you? What work in your, and again, I don't mean a career or just a job. That may be meaningful to you, but there's other work in life that is meaningful to you. Do more of that, okay? Or start doing it, okay? And again, what legacy do you want to leave in the world? This is a difficult question to answer, but you will go on a journey of self-discovery while you try to answer it, okay? All right, guys. That is what I've got for you. I was hoping to finish this row by the end of the Principal's Office Hour, but I got a little busy talking, and sometimes I can't read what I've got to read you and diamond paint at the same time, but I'll finish this up tonight. I hope that you've enjoyed this Principal's Office Hour, and if you have, leave me a thumbs up. And I read every single one of your comments on volume 1 of the Principal's Office Hour. So please feel free to leave a comment. I love reading your comments, and I will read every single one of them. So please do that for me. I love the feedback. I'd love to know what you thought about this one. And if you feel brave enough, you don't have to, because I know some of these questions are personal to people, and I completely respect that. But if you would like to, I would love to know what you think about that question. What legacy are you going to leave in the world? And you can also answer the question, what is your why? What is your why of what you're doing right now? All right, guys, that's what I've got for you. And I'll leave you with this. In a world where you can be anything, be kind. And I hope you have a great rest of your week. This is the Principal Painter, and I am signing off.